Hello, world. Welcome back to the World Cup 2026 Extra Time feed. We are on Instagram, WCE Extra Time. We are on Facebook and YouTube at World Cup 2026 Extra Time. This is the halfway point as we hit Group F. F is the sixth group that we're talking about. We'll have two more group previews coming up this week. And then the final four will come up the following week. And then after that, we're going to do a US deep dive. And then we're going to preview or predict how we think the World Cup is going to go. Like I mean, but I have a crack team. I have a crack team of researchers out there. So my name is Steven Rabinowitz. Let's do this. Let's talk about Group F coming in. It's an interesting group when you look at it because, again, because of the fact that you have 48 teams now in this World Cup and you have a little bit more of a division, you would think there's a way to say that there's going to be some weak groups out there. But this one isn't. This one is actually pretty strong and has some World Cup experience all around. But we'll start with the team that's going to head out this group. The first one is the seventh ranked FIFA team from the Netherlands. Yeah. Netherlands has always been a team that has been pretty strong in the World Cup. They've appeared in 11 tournaments, didn't make it in 2018, but they have a pretty damn good history. They've reached the final three times, 74, 78 in 2010, finished third in 2014, went to penalties with Argentina in the last World Cup after scoring a goal within, I think, the 11th minute of extra time. But they're going to try to make a run at the title. How did they get here? They were pushed hard during the qualification campaign by Poland, but they had an undefeated run of 6 wins that secured their ticket to the tournament. They thrashed Finland, they thrashed Lithuania, they thrashed Malta. So they really ended up with a good record of 27 goals against and just 27 goals for, 4 against. They did 0-0 draws with Poland, but it didn't really matter when you came up to it, and they were easily on to the playoffs. Okay, how is their formation? It's a good question. I'm glad you asked. It's a hybrid style. It's a 4-2-3-1. Very good center backs on the team that we'll talk about in a minute. The forward is not depth is not great, but the sequences are going to be really good. There's going to be a lot of innovative offense from this team. Do miss one of their big forwards by the name of Xavi Simons, who is out of the tournament due to a ruptured ACL. But they have stars. In fact, they have so many stars. They have two big stars that I couldn't really determine which one to talk about. When you talk about the Netherlands, you talk about Virgil van Dijk. He is the longtime captain of this team, most experienced defender. He's won the UEFA Champions League, the Premier League, won domestic cup this year with last year with Liverpool, included in several FIFA World 11 teams. Has 88 caps for Netherlands. He will not be playing with Liverpool in 2026-27. He played his last game, in fact, just yesterday. We're taping this on Memorial Day, May 25th. But there's also a guy who was a beast in qualifying. He had 8 goals. His name is Memphis Depay. He is 55 international goals, played for top clubs such as PSV, Man U, Lyon, Barcelona, Atletico Madrid. He is going to be huge in this World Cup and is probably going to be the guy who is going to be called on the most. The goalie is Bert Verbruggen, plays for Brighton and Hove Albion. He played in the Euro 2024 qualifiers, and he has played in each of the matches of the tournament. Made the semifinals. The Netherlands is a very good team, a team that I really, really like, and I think there's no real dark horse when you think about the Netherlands, but their name isn't really being talked about as a team that can win the World Cup. I beg to differ if everything kind of breaks right. We'll talk more about that when we talk about our predictions, but let's move on to the team that's next up. That is Japan. They are FIFA ranked 18, and they got their qualifying done quickly. And outside of the teams that automatically qualified, they qualified first. Better, obviously, the co-hosts of the teams that qualify in Canada, US, and Mexico. But in 60 games across 2 qualifying rounds, they played 16 times. They conceded 3 goals. They scored 54. That's what we call domination. They made their debut in the World Cup, Japan in 1998, but they've played every year since and have reached the round of 16 four times, including last time out in 2022, but they've never gone past that stage. In 2022, they beat both Germany and Spain in the group stages. A awesome showing. Would lose to Costa Rica, ironically enough. Go figure. But they would also lose in penalties to Croatia in the round of 16, 3-1. Croatia is very, very tricky, and Japan was gotten by them in the World Cup. Their preferred formation is 3-4-2-1. It's a pressing style. They attack. You're going to see a lot of different formations from this hell. You've seen a lot of formations from this team over the last 4 years of this World Cup cycle. But this 3-4-2-1, high intensity pressing, endless energy reserves, and when you have what you did in that qualifying round, albeit in a fairly weak AFC, the Asian Federation group of opponents, don't change a lot. Don't have to. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Who to watch? I have two names here as well to kind of cheat. Wataru Endo was named in Japan squad for the 2018 World Cup. Didn't play in any other matches. Was there for 2022 in Qatar. And again, had a good showing. 3 international goals and became captain of the team in 2024. He also has played for Liverpool in the past. A guy who is known as the Japanese Messi back home. Watch out for him because he is a guy who is a high level scorer, and that is Takefusa Kubo. Plays for Real Sociedad. And there's a lot of interesting teams out there. They've named their squad. Their coach said, I was able to select only 26 players, but I feel sorry they couldn't select many other players. So at least they believe, Japan does, that they're deep, rolling in deep in all of these competitions out there, and they're going to be tough to beat. And I think they're a team that has been kind of underestimated in the years going on, but they have one of the more consistent World Cup resumes out there. So why not make that next step in 2026? All right, their goalie is Zion Suzuki, currently plays for Parma in Serie A. He has technical qualities, mental resilience. He suffered a broken left hand in a match against AC Milan in November 2025, but got back out there about 2 months after. So Japan fully stocked, ready to go for the 2026 World Cup. We'll talk about where I think they're going to be in a moment. Let's go to Sweden. They're next up. FIFA ranked 38th in this group. So there's a lot of interesting group dynamics out here. No one's going to be lower than 50 in these FIFA rankings. So their qualification in UEFA sucked. It was 2 wins, 4 losses, and 2 draws. They were the bottom of a group with Switzerland, Slovenia, and Kosovo. However, they were 3rd in the Nations League, so they got a chance to get to the UEFA qualifying, the UEFA playoffs that they had back at the end of March, and they made the best of that. They beat Ukraine in a game that was played in Spain because obviously Ukraine's a little war-torn right now. And then they came up big against Poland in the final, and then they made it here by hook by crook again. They missed the tournament back in 2022, but in 2018, they had their best performance ever in making it to the quarterfinals. So Sweden knows how to have success here, and this is just ho hum for them. This is their 13th tournament overall, and they actually have a very good manager who was what many people thought would be an England manager for many time by the name of Graham Potter, but he has made his way in Sweden, guiding his team actually to the highest division from 4th division. So Sweden is the team that he'll take over here in this World Cup. Preferred formation is a 3-4-2-1 hybrid style. Got defensive solidarity, a technical midfield, and a counter-attacking threat overall in there. Lack of quality in certain positions, though, not what you want to see. When they switch to a back 3 in the UEFA playoffs, that kind of was a huge turning point into getting this team into the World Cup. Sweden is always willing to soak up pressure and counterattack, but you got to make sure the midfield has talent, and they do have talent up front. They actually do. Um, let's talk about two players in there. Let's talk about a guy who they didn't have for that UEFA playoffs, but they'll have him for the World Cup, and Alexander Isak, who also plays for Liverpool's third mention of them today, transferring from Newcastle United in 2025. Has had 50 caps for the national team, represented the Euro 2020, youngest goal scorer ever for the Swedish national team, 16 goals all time. Had a knee injury, but he will be good to go for the World Cup. But a guy who I also want to focus on is a guy who scored 4 goals in that qualifying round. Insane amount of stuff. That's Victor Gyökeres, who had a hat trick against Ukraine, all the goals that they needed. They won 3-1. He had all three. And then the winning goal in against Poland in the World Cup qualifying final. Definitely going to be someone to watch out for, especially in the early going. So what I got to say is watch out for Sweden. We are going to see a lot of. If ever you have a European side of this World Cup, you know they're going to be tough regardless because of just the amount of competition that takes place in Europe. But I do think Sweden has a bit of a chance to make some noise out there. We'll see what we think about them in just a second, though, when it comes to predictions. All right. Our final team in this group. I guess we aren't saving the best for last. This Tunisia is FIFA ranked 44th. I'm not saying they're bad or anything like that, but this is a good group. This is actually a very stronger group than I think I thought when I first looked at them. Undefeated, road to the World Cup, 9 wins from 10 matches, 0 goals conceded, 22 scored, and only 4 of the Tunisia's qualifying victories were decided in the final 10 minutes, and sometimes penalties were a thing to it, but Tunisia is very good in this thing. They are making their 7th appearance in the World Cup, never made it out of group stage. They drew in 2022. They actually beat France in their first game. I think their third game. I'm sorry, 1-0. But they were 1-1-1. They drew Denmark, but lost to Australia, and the Australia loss was key. That was the one that kept them out of the round of 16 at that point. Now all you gotta do is get out from 48 to 32. For the 2026 World Cup, they go for 2 different formations. I think you're probably going to see a 4-3-3, a little more than a 4-2-3-1. They're defensive. They're going to counterattack whenever they need to. They are, though it's funny when you're in Africa and you're playing tough competition over there. But in the big stage, when you're playing the teams like Europe from Europe and South America, you kind of want to really reflect their approach a little bit more. So they may try to not press high to win back the ball, but they're going to have to try to be a little ahead of the game because the attacking power on this team probably does not even measure up to the 3 teams that are in this group. A lot of good players on this team. Ironically enough, they announced this team about a week ago, I think. Yeah, actually 10 days ago. And there are a bunch of new people on this team, whether it's due to retirement or just changes from the team that was in the last real international competition in the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. So I'm going to focus on Elise Skiri, who is anchors the Tunisian midfield, 74 caps, has played in many different places in League One and Bundesliga, currently with Frankfurt. Defenseman, started in 2018. He has been on the World Cup team in 2018, the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations, called up for 2022 FIFA World Cup, and been pretty much around there as much as possible. So going to be very interesting to see what Tunisia can do. They play with a lot of standout players out there, and this is an African side that's looking to break through and get at least out of the group stage for the first time ever. Their goalie, Eamon Daman, has been playing this team since 2019. Made his debut with the senior national team in 2021. Only gave up 1 goal in group play when he was goalie for the team in 2022. So Tunisia, FIFA ranked 44th. Let's see how they do in the World Cup. All right, game predictions. There are a little bit of history in some of these games. This is a group that'll know each other very well. We'll start June 14th. That is the first Sunday of the World Cup. The biggest match of the group is right out of the gate, June 14th, at in AT&T Stadium over in Arlington, Texas. Netherlands, Japan. 3 times they've played before, but the most important one is Netherlands won in group play in 2010 at the FIFA World Cup. That was where they finished second. Most recent meeting in 2013, a 2-2 friendly draw. This group goes to Mexico, and they will play in Guadalupe, will Sweden and Tunisia on that same day. 4 previous occasions, always in friendlies. Tunisia won the last meeting. That was back in 2003, 1-0. Move on to 6 days later. It's June 20th, NRG Stadium in Houston, Netherlands and Sweden. 20 previous occasions between the two. Obviously, one of the groups where you had 2 European teams. Scoreless draw in the group stage in 1974. Most recently, a 2-0 win for Netherlands and a World Cup qualifier match in 2017. Moving on, let's go to Guadalupe. Again, same day, June 20th, Tunisia and Japan. 2 teams have met 6 times. Japan had a 2-0 group stage victory in the 2002 World Cup, and their latest meeting just took place about 3 years ago in the Kirin Challenge Cup, and Japan won 2-0. That game will be the 1000th World Cup match of all time. So, congratulations, World Cup, you turned 1000. The final games will happen on June 25th, both around 7 p.m. Eastern. Japan, Sweden at AT&T Stadium back in Arlington, Texas. 7 times they've met, and they met. Japan's only win was in 1936 in the Olympics, nonetheless, in the first round. The last meeting was in 2002, a 1-1 draw. And then finally, Tunisia and the Netherlands meet in Kansas City's Arrowhead Stadium that same day. 3 times they met before. 2009 friendly match was the last time they played, 1-1 draw there. Okay, so what does the winner do? Group F will play in Monterrey against the Group C runner-up, and it's not easy. This is Brazil, Morocco, Haiti, and Scotland. I'm feeling, considering I picked Brazil to finish second, that this is a heavyweight matchup right here. So the winner does not get rewarded in any way, shape, or form. The winner of that group will face the runner-up on June 29th as well. So we'll see what happens. Many options for third place, by the way, so we won't really get into it here. We'll kind of talk about it more when we do our World Cup preview, where we predict what we're going to see in the knockout rounds in a few weeks. Okay. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel here, though. I do think Netherlands is a strong #1 for me, and I do think they're kind of a dark horse for many things, which we'll talk about, but I think they're a World Cup dark horse. Japan second, Sweden third, just because they do have a lot of pieces that need to come together, and Tunisia fourth. And if I was going to big man, I did say I thought Sweden was going to be more of a team that could just beat Tunisia and lose the other 2. I do think Sweden will actually have a little bit more success. So I think this could easily be a 3-team group as well. We'll see what happens. Group G is next. Remember, on Instagram, we are WCE Extra Time. World Cup Extra Time, World Cup 2026 Extra Time on YouTube and Facebook. You've been watching before. Keep watching. This is video number 6 of our group previews for the 2026 World Cup. See you next time.